Hello, welcome to Micro-frontend in Allianz. We are in Apidays 2 days, but short introduction to me, I'm Fabien Brunet, software architect for front-end side in Allianz. I'm a leader of craft community in Allianz also, and I'm a sustainable worker. What does it mean? I just make the most of possible tools and websites sustainable for green IT for the footprint. Quick presentation of Allianz, and sorry, but it's just the last one slide in French. Because it's important to understand the context. I work for 5 millions of customers. I work for 11,000 colleagues, and I work for some agencies, so a lot of, as you see, and we work for a lot of sellers around France, because this number is just for France, but I work for many countries. If you see the Allianz world, it's Allianz worlds in blue dark and blue light. So in blue light, it's all OEs we have in Allianz. It's all the country we have in Allianz where we make some business. And the blue darks, it's where Allianz Technology, so the branch of technical stuff, make some assets, some application for the other business country. It means, you see, we have sometimes no any office in technical stuff for some countries. And my role is to make this possible for the other country. For example, I work in team where we are 8 countries. So I work for mid-core projects. It's a project to ensure middle company. That does it mean in this project we are going to make asset. We are going to create a new website for many country. We target to have 20 country in 2 years. Right now we have more or less 3. So for this one, for this project, we have 120 people. It's more or less yes, we can say it, 30, 40 developer for front-end side, 30, 40 for back-end side, and the rest it's agile team. We work for the target, it's 20 country, as already said. We work for multiple products because we are going to ensure maybe for fire, maybe for floods. So yeah, so it's very important to understand we have many country in just we have many products, sorry, for one same project. And in this project, we make quote, pricing, and subscription. The agenda of today, it's how we have this in history in Allianz. I'm going to talk about architecture and structure, communication, how it's possible to make this possible with communication. I'm going to talk how we integrate some country and not all, user experience, security, and a takeaway. First of all, so history in Allianz. So during the past, we make this move to architecture. We on the left we are in monolithic architecture. We don't have a lot of things in monolithic architecture in Allianz, but we moved during the time to left to right. And right now we are going to go to the and right now we go to the micro-frontend architecture because we want to have the same thing of microservices architecture, but in frontend, because right now it's possible. If I go more in detail for micro frontend architecture, we have this big schema. So we have some domains. So we have one MFE domain, and it's linked with microservices or multiple microservices. But for micro frontend, we have in one website, we can have, for example, quotes, quote domain, and in this quote domain, we have UI components dedicated for this, domain state dedicated for this, services dedicated for this, and so on. So it's very important to understand we have just one part of one domain in one part. So it's mean we have UI, different UI, but we just have one BFF or one microservices. The rule is when we have one microservices, we just communicate with one. But if we need to maybe make some correlation, some link with some parts, we have one BFF, we are going to orchestrate this. And the last part, very important on this one, is the shell. Shell, what is shell? It's a composer. It's mean we are going to create a full page with a shell because MFE or micro frontend, it's just one part of your website. For the structure, for the architecture, we have this architecture. We have in Allianz world, we have multiple projects. For example, on my project, I'm on the middle. I work for mid-corps, and for mid-corps, it's it's the part where we can insure little company. Sorry, middle company, and because we can also insure large corp company, but it's not the same workflow, it's not the same things because we have many location, more or 100 and so on. So it's possible to, and it's something different because the pricing is not the same, of course. And on the left, we have a storage, global storage to make some contracts and so on. So yeah, so it's mean we have many parts in Allianz, many parts, yes, in Allianz, and with this structure, we can say, okay, we have this part, this part, this part, and how we can do to make this communication possible. So the first answer is we use a distributed event store to get to make some information go to left, to right, or and so on. But this is for the global architecture. If I go more in front-end side architecture, we have a shell, as I explained before, who are going to compose all MFE. So it's mean we have a composer with multiple MFE. For example, blue one, it's quotes, and green, it's client. And like this, for one page, we are going to say, okay, I want this, and shell are going to compose my screen. We have a transversal, but I'm going to talk about this just after. But yeah, it's very independent, and each quote have one BFF or so sorry, each MFE are one BFF, and like this, it can communicate directly, and we have a security with APG and so on. So we have also translate and config for each one. Config, it's more for the shell to compose this website, and MFE, it's already autonomous. The tool stack is very simple. It's the last one. I know Angular 17 is already open and we released, sorry, and we can use it, but we need to just wait some time because it's ensure port. We need to be sure this is secured and ready. So we have Angular as the last version. We use NX because it's the most powerful open source build system because it's very easy to make some micro frontend, some libraries, publish it, deploy it, and it's very easy to make this possible with this tool. We use module federation based on NX, but we can also use web component, yes, web component, and so on this. We use to validate everything just for unit tests, and we use Yarn to a package manager. And for the tool stack of more graphic stuff, we used Aquila. It's NDBX. It's a new digital brand experience. It's something we use in Allianz, but Aquila, it's open source tools. If you want to use it, you can use it. It's very easy. It's something like Material and Bootstrap. It's the same thing, but it's something very useful to make website very easy. We use RxJS to have all observable stuff, and this is very classic in Angular, sorry. And yeah, so and for the documentation we use Compiler right now, but we want to use Storybook on the on the future. If I talk specifically of the structure as we have one monorepository with many features, and each features, for example, quotes, clients, and something else, it's in one it's one monorepository, and we can have for each part libraries. We can do everything very easily. So because before we make this with some JSON files, and we just have a large JSON, JSON file configuration, and each country want to integrate this, it just lost because we need many time to take time to help some country to make this possible. In terms of structure, as I said before, we have a shell. So shell, it's with transversal, we have a micro-frontend specifically for the header and the left navigation, because sometimes we need to have some parts of other domain in transversal parts. So we assume we have here some specific things of another domain. In the real page, for example, for quote list or general information page, we have the chance to maybe to have just one couple of header and a fully quote parts. Or we have a quote part on the bottom, and on the top it's a client. But in fact, it's just one page, no more. We compose this page with just 2 or 3 declaration in the JSON of the shell, and that's it. Like this, we just said, okay, in this page, I want this block, and like this quotes, it's autonomously are going to get the good one. And like this, we integrate the good one on the page. And if quote teams change something, we don't need to rebuild everything. So it's team autonomously also like this, as you see here. It's really split, and we have a quote list on the right and the 2 parts for the second page. We use module federation, but we use also web components. We can use a library, but right now is not the target at all, because we prefer to use module federation. It's more easy to integrate with Angular and NX, and we want to control one build time, and we want to control what we deliver. With web component, we can do it, but it's more runtime issue, because if team who provide this web components, sometime maybe it can be change something, make a breaking change, or don't follow the last version of Angular, and maybe sometime we can have some design issue. In the structure, I just make a zoom of pricing. For example, we have one MFE on the top. We have a pricing main, so it's a library, and library are going to call some util or no models, just util, because model is included in main, but there is some module federation tools or unit test tool or some tool very important. But yeah, so if this is one MFE, one library main, we can share it, and shared just to have this. On the structure for each MFE, for example, here we have quote and management. It communicate with API, sorry, because it's very important. But in each part, for example, here for quote, we have one storage, we have one store. And like this, all page on the store can communicate himself in the same scope. And if we just thinking, we just make some hexagonal architecture, because we have one business logic, one domain, and we make some server-side communication with HTTP or GraphQL, for example. And like this, it's just some adapter we are going to consume with API, because like this we can have multiple API, And like this, we can make one business logic. On the left, we have just a facade of NX and NGRX to make this possible. Like this HTML are just going to request something, just wait observable, and that's it, and we have the information. Like this, no things was calculated on the front-end side, everything is calculated on the business logic. I talked about communication because I think it's a point very important because communication, it's communication between court and client and some others. So it's very important because, for example, for court can have ideas of when I create a product, I have an idea to make this follow everywhere on the website. So it means we can have some parameter because parameter can be used by the routes by client, quote, or under check. But yeah, so what does it mean? It means here we have the possibility to have some information behind the routes or some information with cloud events because maybe client can send something or one other MFE. It means each MFE can talk with other MFE, but in fact, it's just some information we send on the browser, and if the other MFE wants this information, he gets it and he make workflow provide by himself. So if he don't want to know if we have a pricing, he don't care. He just make rendering and that's it. So like this for communication, we have parameter, cloud event, and against with backend side distributed event store. For communication for front-end side, we use cloud events because it's providing very common in front-end side. And like this, we have just a common vision for how we need to talk with another MFE. We have some countries, many countries, as I said before, and for this, we use many things. We use JSON files to configure for each country. So, for example, Germany, we have one specific files to say, okay, in this page, I want that. But it's just to configure each MFE we want on this page. That's it. We have a translation with translocal because it's live change. It means if I change my language, I just going to don't reload everything, just my language, no more. And for hide or display some features, we have a toggle management with Unleash. And like this, when we have a new feature, we can say, okay, right now this feature is ready. I just activate it. That's it. Like this, all countries don't need to rebuild something, redeploy something. It's very easy to do. It's what I said before, it's the architecture of this. And why it's important? Because config, it's provided by the shell. So it's really the shell are going to compose this. Translation, it's also decoupled of each part of MFE. It's very decoupled of everything. It's decoupled, yes, but we have the same user experience. It's very important because it's just a classic website with header, with some content on the top, on the right, and like this. It's very easy to have the same user experience, but we want to have the same user experience between multiple MFE. We use, of course, atomic design, and we try to make the most of possible unshared parts, but we shared some atoms and molecule because when you make a forms, sometimes and most of time, we just make the same thing of team quotes or team clients. So like this, we just synchronize with some architects to say, okay, this part it need to be shared because team clients make the same thing of team code. Please don't redo the same thing. So, and we make a rule to say, okay, for atoms, molecule, an organism. It can be some standalone or some shell modules. And for template and page, it's some modules. It's required to be a module like this. We can integrate this in UI, specific UI to MFE. And the last part, because it's almost the time, security. Security, it's two things. Security by the last version of non-modules, because we want to have no dependency, no security issue with non-modules, because it's very important. We use modification to be sure we are compatible with the last one. And if we request another website with another modules, okay, it needs to be the same version of everything. We use authentication frameworks based on O2, and yes, use SSO and cloud events. We have zero trust security workflow to make this very understandable. We just shared include event IDs, and MFE needs to request at their own BFF the real information. We are not going to send a big object in the create event. We want to check every time if it's good or no. So, time to take away. If we can summarize, we make something to keep repository up to date each time. We make a fast delivery process because we just decouple code clients and so on each part. And if we want just to deploy code, we just deploy code, no more. So like this, we have less time to deploy, less time to construct something. We have multiple country and we work in Agile, of course. So thank you to all to listen me and have a nice day.